Nagato and Friedrich Nietzsche, a deep conversation. Sit down because it's time for a deep conversation. My name is Oliver. I have a degree in psychology. And since this channel is new, it would be great if you could subscribe and like it. YouTube recommended this channel to you, and it might not recommend it again. So hurry up, subscribe and like. Let's go. Nagato had a difficult childhood, like many characters in Naruto, such as Kakashi, Itachi, among others. But the way he develops is more complete than the others. Nagato has the most complex thoughts in the entire anime, and made many people reflect, hate him, and love him. Nagato was a kind, sensitive child with a lot of empathy, and was also quite introverted. After the event of his parents' death, where we see him crying on several occasions, when I watched it, I wondered if this could be the beginning of depression. But analyzing the fact that he is a quiet person, an introvert, as I mentioned in the Itachi video, an introvert is someone who keeps to themselves, who stays more in their own thoughts and doesn't usually expose much of this, a characteristic similar to Itachi. Now, what we see as a characteristic of Nagato after he grows up is a cold and calculating person. All this is due to the traumatic childhood and adolescence he experienced. What is Nietzsche's eternal return? It's a theory created by this great philosopher that says that everything will happen in cycles, meaning joy, peace, wars, pain. They will all repeat themselves. No matter the era of humanity we are in, these cycles will repeat infinitely, whether it's the year 2000 or 3000. Everything will repeat. That's the eternal return of Nietzsche. And what Nagato tries to do is break this cycle, or attempt to break it, with this philosophy that the world will be better when everyone knows the meaning of pain, feels the pain. This concept of pain that Nagato carries is quite interesting. The issue of emotions is much debated in psychology. Our limbic system, which is responsible for generating our emotions, is basically our essence as human beings. And all emotions are important, including the emotion of pain, of sadness. Because Nagato says that pain makes people understand a lot. And this is true. Through pain, we learn, we gain self-knowledge, and we develop empathy for others. Just think about the most difficult moments in your lives. It was the time when you learned the most. So we cry over something, and after that cry, we feel better, stronger. Nietzsche says that these pains may be quite severe, but without pain, it is impossible to become a guide and educator of humanity. And pity the one who wishes to be such and no longer has this pure consciousness. Another interesting point is that Nietzsche values amor fati, which would be love for fate. He affirmed that the person who can live with this would be a superhuman, or in pain's case, a god. And maybe because he understood this concept of pain, he considered himself a god. So, was this Nagato's true intention? To make people feel compassion? If everyone understands pain, will they be able to have empathy and in the future understand that wars make no sense? Was that his intention? And was he thinking about future generations? Something to ponder. But a major contradictory point in Paine's case was that he recognized that humans have an inherent instinct for conflict, that humans naturally tend towards self-destruction, and no matter the time, humans will always have this instinct to try to destroy each other, to provoke wars and conflicts. This thought is also widely disseminated in the book Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, where he explains this feeling of human self-destruction. It's worth reading because it's a great book. So Nagato is somewhat contradictory in this hypothesis. Let's suppose he achieves his goal. Everyone starts to have compassion for others, understanding the real reason for wars, which make no sense. But as he himself believes, at some point, humans will return to their normal state, new people will be born, and this self-destructive instinct will return. And when Naruto meets him, and they talk at the end, and Naruto decides not to kill him because it would continue this cycle of hatred, Naruto also wanted to break this cycle, unlike Nagato, of course. Naruto tells him that hatred only generates more hatred. At that moment, Naruto was extremely mature, both because he listened to Nagato and understood his point of view. Understanding that Nagato, theoretically, although in a very complex way, had a valid thought, but was still able to understand his side. Naruto, even after losing very close people, didn't feel the need for revenge. And maybe that's the feeling that provoked the biggest change in Nagato. Nagato had very few people in his life who made him see things differently. He had Conan very close to him, but Conan lived in the same context as him, sharing the same opinions and worldview. And when he is confronted with a different vision, one that resembles his own, the proposal to break this cycle, and also in that moment when he sees compassion, something he hadn't seen before, he entrusts Naruto with the great desire he had to break Nietzsche's eternal return. Now, the big question is, will Naruto be able to break it? Will there never be wars again? Nagato arrives in the anime with an extremely complex thought. After the death of Yahiko, and where Nagato no longer sees much hope in humanity, it becomes clear the defense mechanisms he used to protect his own self. He becomes very cold, showing little mercy to his enemies. He starts to believe in that vision he has, which prevents him from suffering unconsciously, to the point that he was able to kill his own sensei, Jiraiya. He self-comforted and self-conformed, telling himself that it wasn't wrong, that there was a greater purpose. This was his defense mechanism. Just to clarify, in psychology, a defense mechanism is when you use strategies to protect your unconscious mind. For example, if you fail an entrance exam and then say that college isn't worth it, it's a defense mechanism to protect yourself, something you say to others and to yourself unconsciously to shield yourself. To me, Nagato is the most complete character with the most constructed thoughts in the Naruto universe. And if he had had people with Naruto's mindset, or more empathetic people in his life, people who would confront his existing thoughts, because Nagato is one of the most intelligent characters in the anime, perhaps he would have had more opposing viewpoints. Imagine Nagato on the good side. Imagine how strong he would be. Besides being extremely powerful, Nagato has a brilliant mind, akin to the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the men remembered for his genius. The key point here is how much Nagato teaches us about the importance of feeling pain and sadness. We only know we're feeling joy when we also experience pain, when we understand sadness, because it is as important as joy. Although I don't agree with all of his ideals, it's always important to take away the important aspects from a person. Everyone has something to teach us, and Nagato has a lot to teach with his philosophy. To me, Nagato is the most intelligent character in the anime due to his understanding of many things, his general perspective on things, and his ability to change his opinion and adapt his thoughts. And again, if he had psychological support or support from people with different views, like Naruto, as I mentioned earlier, he might not have fallen into this dark side. His more generalist personality is incredible. Yes, I would have loved to develop a therapy with Nagato. I often imagine this with characters. I hope this video has brought some reflection to you. And remember, as Nagato explained, all our emotions are important. Not just joy, but sadness is important too. Subscribe to the channel, click like. See you next time.